Hello and welcome. We are excited to have you join us today and excited to dig into this important topic. My name is Brett Theodos. I'm a senior fellow at the Urban Institute, and we're going to be looking at scaling financial coaching through public and private partnerships. The need to help people manage money, to restructure debt, to create and work towards their financial goals is considerable. And financial coaching has gained prominence of late as a strategy to help address this. I've had the privilege to do a number of studies of financial coaching, including the first randomized assignment test or evaluation of coaching of Change Machine in New York, formerly the Financial Clinic and branches in Miami, and a look over several years at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's work at integrating coaching into other human service organizations across the US. And there have been a number of other studies as well that have happened now increasingly in this space. And I've been pleased to join with Diana Elliott to co-direct a study looking at Stand By Me, which really is a unique program based in the state of Delaware. So we are going to have the opportunity to hear from a great panel of folks who can bring us the meat, bring us the details on what it is that this program is uniquely positioned to do and how it is that it's able to accomplish that, as well as we'll get some insights from state and philanthropic private sector leadership who can inform this work as well. So what I'm going to do to kick us off is provide some overview and context of the program and the research study. And we will go from there in terms of having and setting up our discussion. Promise to involve you all in that discussion. So would love if you could add your questions in the chat. Sorry, not the chat, in the Q&A feature. The chat is not enabled, but we will be grabbing your questions and filtering them into the discussion that we have. So let's jump in with some of the findings. After some housekeeping. First, the event is being recorded, and this recording will be posted online. Speaker bios are online as well. You may see some closed captioning there at the bottom that's happening on your screen. This is a new Zoom feature, new to us. We're trying to make it more accessible. You don't need to keep it on, however. You can turn it off by pressing the little CC button if it gets distracting. All participants are going to be muted for the duration. And again, add your comments. Okay, so Stand By Me. What did we learn? Goals of the project: document the approaches of Delaware's statewide financial program, assess if participants had improved financial outcomes, better understand the process behind Stand By Me, explore the context, how it varies and how it matters. And we do have to say, we wouldn't be here without our funders. You're going to get to hear from one of them later. So thanks to them and to Andy Casey, but also to JP Morgan Chase, who stepped forward to support this as well, and also Kellogg Foundation. Okay. What did we learn from coach interviews? I'll go through a couple ways that we collected data. So what we learned from coach interviews includes that Stand By Me's public-private partnership enabled coaches to reach many Delawareans in a broader space or array across the state. It also created some variation in the resources available. Coaches reported a high impact for clients who felt a sense of empowerment after engaging in coaching. One quote that we heard was, "When they talk about money and possibilities, there's an aha moment. I didn't know that. The information makes a difference. Sometimes the information brings about personal change that's life-changing. It's information they never thought they'd get." And in terms of areas of growth, what we learned from talking to coaches were resolving issues around uneven funding across sites, getting the state to be more engaged in supporting the work financially, and deeper training on finances, and some cross-organization work to structure leadership and oversight. Participants, what did we learn from talking to them? From participants, we heard that the client-coach relationship was overwhelmingly positive, both in the immediate term and in the longer term. One quote think it was instant, because when you walk in, he's very friendly, he's very opening, and he's very welcoming. And a second lesson or takeaway from the participant interviews was overall, participants felt an increased sense and confidence in their money management skills and less stress as a result of coaching. And a quote that speaks to this is, confidence is basically not feeling inadequate about my finances. He, meaning the coach, taught me things I would have never been known how to do. So confidence that I can do it. Great. Some backgrounds on the clients that are getting served and how they are getting served in the program. Most clients attend 4 or fewer sessions. That's actually quite a bit in comparison with other coaching programs that we've studied. And what you'll see here is some of the different sub-programs that Stand By Me operates. Clients were more likely to be female. That's a fairly consistent trend across coaching programs. It does vary somewhat by the different program elements. On the whole, the programs support a high degree of racial and ethnic diversity across the programs. Again, some variation across them. We'll get into a little more details in the discussion about the program sites and where and how the program operates. Employment status as well varied across the programs, as did income, but on the whole, the clients served were generally low to moderate income. Okay, so what we did then is pull in some credit data so that we could also assess the impact of the program. And so here are some baseline attributes. So credit score, 573. And we look at total balances that are held. And we break out those that have auto and credit and mortgage, student loan, credit card utilization rates, the share of folks who have delinquencies, number of debts in collection, curing. I can describe that in a little more detail what that means, but it's making your accounts go from negative to positive. So we did the impact analysis using credit data. We first worked with clients in a given time period to about 2,200. Of those, we were able to match about 1,900 in credit data. And of those, roughly 1,800 had pre and post credit information. And so what were the impact results? So we saw an increase. This is a difference in difference. So we've taken the program participants, these 1,800 people, and we've matched them to comparable people who were not served by the program in nearby collaring states. And these were the results, the difference in the difference. So credit scores, we saw a modest improvement attributable to the program of 4 points. We saw balances increasing. People were accessing more credit after having worked with the program. That was to some degree coming from an increase in those who were able to get auto loans, which we know is an important dimension, especially getting to work, but also those who had a credit card who were able to have at least one credit card. And then also some folks going into school and getting student loans to a higher degree, not a just shift in the overall. And this is combining across the sub-programs you saw earlier, though we do have breakouts for them, and by installment loans, no change there. We saw a decrease in credit card utilization. So even though people were taking on one more card, the actual share of their credit availability that they were using were lower. And there was moving negative, but not statistically significant difference in delinquencies. We did, however, see a statistically significant decline, a modest one, in the number of debts and collections for non-medical, as well as for medical. And again, a modest improvement in curing. So that is a very quick rundown. I promise you there are lots of details in the study. We're going to put that in a chat in just a minute, and you can dig into both the qualitative evidence. We also did a survey of borrowers that I didn't actually draw into this presentation for the sake of time, as well as much more description around the metrics we used and the impact from the impact study. So with that, I will go ahead and talk about what's next. So we are going to be turning it over. First, you're going to get the privilege of hearing from Ray Fitzgerald, who is the director of Delaware's Division of Social Services, and then also Michelle Taylor, who's the president and CEO of United Way of Delaware. So Ray and Michelle, let me welcome you guys up to the stage and get you to take it from here. Thanks so much.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. Before we get into the meat of the presentation, I wanted to give you a brief overview of Stand By Me and its purpose. Stand By Me is a public-private partnership between the state of Delaware and United Way of Delaware that offers Delawareans free, private, one-on-one financial coaching by trained, skilled professionals. Among other things, the program helps participants improve their credit scores, increase personal savings, and access consumer-friendly financial services such as alternatives to payday loans, credit builder loans, and mortgages and interest-bearing savings accounts. Coaches work with the clients to develop a customized financial plan to balance monthly income and expenses and to establish personal financial goals and the savings and other strategies necessary to meet those goals. Then the coach meets regularly with the client to monitor progress toward these goals and to make necessary adjustments. One of the proudest moments for any Stand By Me coach is when one of his or her clients has climbed out from under debt to qualify for a mortgage, to buy a house or a loan, to buy a new car for the first time. There are hundreds of stories about how Stand By Me has made a difference for Delawareans in every sector of society. Today, we'll be hearing about just one of those sectors. And to get us started, I want to turn it over to my partner, Michelle Taylor of the United Way.
Thank you, Ray. And good afternoon, everyone. Before I go any further, I want to thank the Annie E. Casey Foundation, whose support made this research possible. The foundation's goal is to build a better future for disadvantaged children and families, which aligns precisely to one of the strategic goals for us within Delaware. And 2021 is a significant year for United Way of Delaware. We're celebrating 75 years as an organization, and together with our partner at DSS, we are turning 10 this year. Stand By Me will be celebrating, or is celebrating all year long. If you're one of those people who have a birthday and you just don't celebrate the day of your birthday, we're going to celebrate 365 days this year. I want to point out that Stand By Me is not a one-size-fits-all program. Today, you're going to hear about a program that is improving lives for just one sliver of our overall audience. While the core element is a one-on-one financial counseling relationship, Stand By Me is really customized to meet the needs of specific market segments. For example, for older Delawareans, Stand By Me 50 Plus offers guidance tailored for those planning for retirement or thinking about their senior years. For young Delawareans thinking about paying for college, we offer Stand By Me Next Gen. And in partnership with Barclays Bank, we recently launched the Stand By Me Minority Small Business Program to encourage people of color who have businesses on how they can improve their credit scores, how they can be better positioned to weather the storm so that they're able to get a more mainstream funding and to be able to thrive as a business. This sort of targeted program is built upon Stand By Me fundamentals, a proven method with a 10-year track record of helping a large number of people in our community move from crisis to stability and stability to empowerment. And today you'll hear more about that data and how it applies specifically to the early learning audience. This data is a snapshot that helps us to better understand how Stand By Me, both in terms of what we're doing as a program and how we're helping individually, can do more tomorrow. So as Stand By Me enters its second decade of progress, we'll continue to focus on lifting up more individuals in our community. In closing, I want to extend my personal invitation to each of you to join us as we celebrate our 10-year anniversary sometime in May. So you can look for the email and hear more about it. But right now, we're going to start hearing about what came out of the report. So I'm going to turn it over to Diana.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Brett. It's a great pleasure to be here, to have you all on the line. We've been studying this program for a couple of years now, and this is a really exciting culmination of that study and of the terrific people that we met along the way. So I'm delighted to be joined today by three such people. First, I want to introduce Irene Lee, who's the Director of Family Economic Success, the Center for Economic Opportunity at the Annie Casey Foundation. Hi, Irene. Also joined by Jude Liskovich, Program Manager and Coach, West End Neighborhood House. And last, but certainly not least, by Donna Snyder-White, Vice President, Financial Empowerment of the United Way of Delaware. Hi, everyone. So I get the privilege of moderating this terrific panel and asking some questions. And hopefully out of this panel, those of you who are on the line can have some really terrific ideas and nuggets to take back to where you are and apply these ideas. Because there's a lot of lessons to be uncovered here. So first off, I want to ask everyone, and we can go in the order that I introduced you. Urban's evaluation found that the Stand By Me program has improved participants' relationship with their finances and expanded their access to credit. In the study, we articulate some of the reasons why the program is unique, including that it's the only statewide financial empowerment program in the nation, and has built its program through diverse partnerships, these public-private partnerships that we discussed. But there are many other reasons why this program may work. So I want to hear from each of you, starting with Irene. What do you think is the main reason why Stand By Me works? What's your thought on this?
Well, first of all, thanks so much, Brett, Diana, Ray, and Michelle for the partnership. In addition to being statewide and diversity partnerships, I would just highlight three other reasons why I think the program works. First, it's strengths-based. It integrates financial coaching into existing platforms from childcare centers, housing programs, community-based organizations, which were culturally and linguistically competent. You've heard about senior centers and high schools. So there's a built-in audience of customers for recruitment, enrollment, and ongoing engagement. Also helpful when you're doing an evaluation. I think a second reason the program works is because it uses human-centered design, a sort of jargony term, but it really meets people where they are, starting with the focus of what the customer wants to work on. And it's designed to really, through the coaching process, and you heard that in sort of Brett's presentation, don't underestimate the importance of building confidence, competence, connection, and agency of the participants. I can actually take care of this set of issues that have been just really crushing me, so that they can navigate their financial lives, and including Spanish-speaking participants, which is a demographic in Southern Delaware. And finally, accountability for all of the partners, from the coaches to the state agency to United Way leadership. Everyone engages in an intentional conversation around data, learning, and continuous improvement, including coming to us as funders and saying, we would like to actually ask for funds, not for the program, but for evaluation, which can be a very brave thing for a public-private partnership to say, we're going to give you some data, and the Urban Institute is not known for doing fluff pieces. And so we were going to find out what we're going to find out in terms of effectiveness. So I think strengths-based, human-centered design and accountability are other reasons the program works.
Great. Jude, from the program data and coaching perspective, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I think Irene said some wonderful things that I wholeheartedly agree with. And I think from my experience, the fundamental reason why Stand By Me is such a success and works so well is that combination of the coaching model and the relationship that develops. You know, I am a data person. Data is really, really important, but without that relationship, without that model, we can't get to the data to tell the story. And the fact that people come to us from such a variety of backgrounds with such a wide range of goals means that having that model to fall back on lets the coach take them through the steps no matter what they're trying to work on. And the fact that have no limitations on who can come in, what they can work on, meeting them where they are, lets us develop that really strong, trusting relationship that builds the customer confidence that the coach is not only going to be available for them as long as they need, but that it's a really non-judgmental place where they can work on their goals as their goals and circumstances change. And so I think that across these partnerships, across these programs, that relationship and that model has always been the heart of it, and everything else kind of stems from that.
Great. Donna, you want to give your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I first of all, I want to say thank you very much for this opportunity. It was a great partnership to work with all the folks that were connected to this project with Urban, and I just wanted to say that out loud. And going last, you get to really hear the reflections of everybody else, which is great because we're all on the same page. But I was thinking about from the beginning, I think one of the strongest assets to this program is a sound vision. There had to be a vision before anything could operationalize, before any strategy took place. There had to be that the vision to help individuals find their way out of the financial crisis that they may be in. And how do you do that? So I appreciate the strong vision of the leadership at the time. I'm going to, Michelle Taylor, Mary DuPont, the state being engaged at that level to even think about putting this in place. Because with their commitment to Delawareans and trying to move them in a different place to meet them where they are, it helps stand up the model for this program. And then I want to also say the people, having the right people in the right places with the right, I'm going to say, ability to connect with other people without judgment. That's very important to this program because we do offer equitable access to information and resources. We have to have people in places at the top of the organization and to the grassroots of the organization. I'm not going to say the bottom because there is no bottom to this organization. It is right to the grassroots that have are able to connect with people to meet them where they are. So that's what I would say is a part of the strength of this program, in addition to what Jude and Irene have already said.
Great. It's so nice when there's lots of overlap between what people say, right? Consistent themes. Irene, I'm going to turn it over to you for a question now. So we have a national audience attending this webinar, and you have a national perspective in the work that you do. What are the important lessons from Stand By Me that you would like this audience to hear and apply to their own work?
Thanks, Diana, for that softball question. So I would highlight a couple of important lessons or takeaways for the local funders or practitioners or policy advocates and other researchers that are on this call because of the reach of the Urban Institute that you can apply to your own work. I think lesson one is the importance of thinking of financial coaching as critical to achieving diversity, equity, and inclusion, so that regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, zip code, language, anyone can be on a path to financial stability, success, and progress. And as you saw from one of Brett's slides, Over 2/3 of Stand By Me participants were either African American, Haitian, or Latinx in many settings. And that can be unusual. A lot of times programs are offered. We're seeing that in the COVID vaccination sites, who's getting access and who is not, and who's being left behind in that. I think the second lesson, in addition to democratizing financial wellness, is the importance of having, as Jude, you said, and Donna, you reiterated, real people that you trust to help you navigate to needed resources. And this has really been important during this amazing disruptive times between the health pandemic, the economic consequences, and social and racial injustice. Stand By Me coaches, that sense of belonging and connection, they were not only able to technically pivot to operate in a virtual world, remotely, but folks reached out for them to help them not just on financial savings or credit or debt, but there were so many things. How do I get my unemployment benefits? And, departments of labor, they did not have staffs that were used to the kinds of gig worker economies, or, a lot of folks were suddenly eligible to get UI benefits. That was hard. Stimulus payments, emergency funds for those immigrant families who were not able to access stimulus funds. So the partnership between the United Way of Delaware and the state, they had the foresight to put an infrastructure in place to provide folks with a connection and pivot to be available for resilience and recovery. And honestly, just a safe space to say, help me, I'm drowning and no, I don't know what to do. So I heard this trusted relationship and their ability to pivot really, really clearly.
Thank you for that. So Jude, I'm going to turn it over to you to give the coaching perspective. So you were the first coach hired. You've worked with West End Neighborhood House, a community-based organization, since the start of Stand By Me. So is that 10 years now? 10 years?
Yes.
So Mary DuPont, the beloved former director of Stand By Me, noted that participating organizations often realize benefits to their programmatic work that went beyond the immediate benefits realized to clients from coaching. So can you tell us a little bit more about this and how West End Neighborhood House has advanced their programmatic work because of Stand By Me's financial coaching program?
Absolutely. Thank you. So Stand By Me has been an incredible addition to the work that we do at West End Neighborhood House. And that also goes for all of our implementation partners across the state. So I'll speak specifically about West End, but I know from hearing every quarter from the partners how important this program is to all of our implementation partners. One of the major benefits and one of the reasons that West End wanted to be part of financial coaching when this program was developed was to be able to offer those additional critical wraparound services that previously may have been limited to just the crisis or just the emergency assistance that an agency sometimes has available. But being able to offer this huge scope of everything from budgeting to savings to credit to debt to college to home ownership was just something new that would fit in with everything that we do. So West End is an organization that serves people from age 8 to 80 plus and really covers everything from early childhood education to GED and adult learning to employment and education around entrepreneurship. So what we found was that having this Stand By Me coaching available meant that participants in these different programs, as they would come in, would definitely be facing all of the same financial situations that everyone is. But having Stand By Me available meant that when a crisis struck, they didn't have to drop out of the GED program. They didn't have to leave their business and go back and just find some part-time work. because the staff knew about the program and took advantage of it themselves, which is another critical piece, they were able to quickly kind of say, go downstairs and talk to the coach, and not have to spend their time trying to find resources and information for these individuals in their classes and their programs. They could just send them to the coach. The coach will be that trusted resource, work with them, and help them kind of stay in the process. No matter where they were, that financial piece was there and was able to be available for them. So I mentioned we also offer it to our staff. That's something that all of our implementation partners do, from the state, United Way, all the way down to each nonprofit. Making that coaching available for employees not only helps those employees to avoid their own financial crises and reach their financial goals, but also makes it that much easier for them to talk about the program, for them to be ambassadors, and to get the word out there. So, I cannot imagine what West End would do without a program like this. And it's become so much a part of it for us and for other implementation partners that, we're in it for the long haul. They're gonna have to kick us out. So we love it. Thank you.
That's great. That's great. Donna, oh, actually, Jude, let me ask you another question, because one of the things that really struck me in doing the interviews and the qualitative work on this is just the testimonials, right? When you talk to customers, when you talk to coaches, it's just so powerful to hear these stories about how people have changed their lives and changed their trajectories. This is a really hard process for a lot of people, right? They come in the door not knowing what to expect. So can you give us some examples of customers who grew throughout the process and some of the things that they were able to accomplish because of Stand By Me? It might also be helpful to hear about ways in which people faltered and had trouble as well.
Absolutely. So this is a really tough process. It's hard for participants, and it can be challenging for coaches to know how to respond when people are finding it very difficult. People face really, really challenging circumstances, and it's hard to come in and be that open and that vulnerable and kind of share, like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know what the next step is going to be. There's fear of judgment, fear of being unable to make these changes, just this general fear of finances. And we have the privilege as coaches to walk with people along that journey and kind of watch as they start to develop confidence and start to develop decision-making skills. And I mean, Ray said at the beginning, there are thousands of examples of the ways that people have made progress, faltered, made progress again. But oftentimes when I think about this, I think of one of the first customers that I started working with back in 2011. And I still work with this person today. And when she came to us, she was a single mom. She had 3 kids under the age of 4. She lived with her grandmother. She worked part-time. And she came in because she had heard about the program, and she said, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with my finances. I can't live with my grandmother forever. I have to have a plan. And, she had never done a budget in her life. So that was the very first thing that we started on, was what is a budget? What is a spending plan? And I will never forget that when she first came back after a month, she had this crumpled up piece of paper that she had written in pencil every single thing that she had spent on the back. And that was like the first attempt at a budget that we ever made. So to make a long story about her short, like, we continued to work on these things over and over and over. And she built the savings. She worked on the credit. She bought a car. She did all of that. And now, when I talked to her a couple months ago, she's in the process of purchasing her first home. She's working full time. Those kids are teenagers now. And she's got like a 750 credit score. She saved almost $8,000. And she's the supervisor at the job where she was the part-time person. And that sounds wonderful. And it is wonderful. And we're really, really, really proud of her. But it's been 10 years and it has not been linear. There have been bumps, steps back that were quite significant, failures here and there. But the thing was, that confidence and that trust and the ability to keep coming back and keep meeting with the coach and keep talking about it meant that she kept coming back looking for solutions. And I have no doubt that once she buys the house, there's going to be issues still. So the fact that 10 years on, yeah, she's not in here every month, but she's continuing to use the resource as needed and passing on those skills and those budgeting tools to her kids and getting them involved in some of the things that we offer. You know, it just really kind of shows that this can be as short or as long as you need it. And it's really, it goes back to that relationship piece. So I think that that's probably one of the best examples of somebody who's been all across that spectrum that I can give you.
It's very reflective of what we all experience, right? And I think one of the things that struck me in conducting these interviews is how long-term these relationships are. And that's a really unique aspect of this program as well. So Donna, I'm going to switch it over to you. Let's talk a little bit about what's next for the future of the program, right? What's on the horizon? What are the new initiatives that the United Way of Delaware and the state have planned for Stand By Me? And are there plans to advance this work nationally throughout the United Way network?
So I'm happy to answer that. I do want to just kind of comment on what Jude said, because two things struck me, if I could, Diana. Tipping point. For Stand By Me, it is very important that the client reaches their own tipping point. And what I mean by that is they feel compelled to say, this, I've done all I can, I need help. And at that point where they say they need help is that where a perfect connection for Stand By Me is. Because we open the door to, like we said, anybody who wants to come. We don't require this or mandate this program in the state. What we do is have an equitable playing field for anyone to get access to the program. And when they're ready, we are here for them. Like Jude said, come in, start getting your practice and your firm foundation. And then, if you fall backwards or need to step away, then you do that. But then you come back when you're ready to come back and try again. And it's okay to fall down and bump your knees. You just, brush yourself off and, get back up, and we're still here to help you without judgment. And I think that's an important thing to say again. The other thing I wanted to make was the 2-generational. In Jude's reflecting back on his first customer, he talked about how she is now helping her kids lay that foundation for a sound financial start, right? By sharing these strategies and terminology so it doesn't feel foreign or uncomfortable. We talked about being comfortable. It's getting the information when you need it and having someone share it with you so you don't feel afraid of what you're getting into, and people can make it plain enough for you to understand so you can get your arms around it and feel more comfortable. And that builds confidence. Being comfortable builds confidence. And it's as simple as that. So I really appreciate all the implementation partners and all the coaches that are in place and the managers to help our Delaware residents feel comfortable and create that safe space for ongoing conversations, because it is a long journey. For some, it's a little shorter. And that's always the balance with funding is striking that, making sure we have the outcomes to deliver in the time frame that people need it. But Irene has really walked, NE Casey has walked this journey with us, and we really do appreciate them, JP Morgan Chase and Kellogg, taking this journey on with us. So let me get back to your question. So what's next on the horizon for Stand By Me? I have 5 letters and 2 numbers, and you guys know what I mean right now. COVID has given us a new reality. COVID-19 has upset everybody's apple carts and plans for whatever you had going on in the future. You really have taken a step back and looking at new strategies to help people today. What we'll say that COVID-19 has done for us is that it just really very loudly said there are more people that need help through financial learning and coaching than ever before. United Way has this wonderful program called ALICE, and ALICE is an acronym for, Assisted, Limited, Income, Constrained, and Employed Individuals. So AL or ALICE, people that typically were teetering on the edge of if a financial hardship came along, they would fall into needing assistance or fall deeper into poverty. This group is larger than I think we've ever anticipated to be, especially now with COVID. And so for right now, we are going to lean in more deliberately to try to help more people get back up on their feet through Stand By Me. That's the near horizon. That's today in the near horizon. Also, we're looking, we just launched a wonderful program, as Michelle mentioned earlier, to focus on minority small business. We were, Stand By Me had a smaller minority business focused program called Negocios. And we learned a lot for that. And we were able to, it focused on our Latino population. From that work, we took a step back and looked at how we can build up in this point of COVID and make it better and more inclusive. So we've opened it up to be focused on minority owned and operated businesses, those with 1 to under 20 employees, and those that have full-time employees with an average salary of like $50,000. So we are really leaning in on the micro businesses and the smaller businesses to give them some support. Because we know at that level, it's usually you, the owner, and maybe your husband or your wife, and maybe your kids are involved. And so making sure that the personal financial health of the owner, because that's what they base their business on, right? So making sure their personal financial health is sound, and then also looking at the business. With the partnership with Barclays, they've been a wonderful partner in the development of this work. And we have worked with them to develop the program to make sure that we are very conscious of how small businesses need support in this time of COVID. So we're excited to have that partnership with Barclays. And the other thing I will say that we continue to do with all of our programs under Stand By Me, again, Michelle and Ray mentioned it, this program really meets people where they are. So it's not just one size fits all. We have 8 programs, sub-programs underneath Stand By Me. So we are looking at how we can move in our next gen category. We were in high school, and at the 11th and 12th grade, how do we get to 10th and 9th? How do we then get into elementary? Those conversations are happening now. And it's only through additional strategies and working with partners that move us down deeper into that particular lane. Also, working with some of our early Delaware residents, working still very closely with our partners like Children's and Families First, and the folks that are our implementation partners that are working at that early childhood centers in Head Starts, working with our little Delawareans so that they and their parents, so they can understand the benefits of financial literacy and coaching. And see, I forgot the other question.
Well, I think plans to advance this within the larger United Way network. Yeah.
Thank you. There's so much good stuff here to say, guys. I mean, it's just been a pleasure to be a part of this program, but also to look at trying to help more people by replicating this model elsewhere. We have already started building on a replication project we had in Pennsylvania. We've taken that and also gone to Oregon, where we're working with the team out there to replicate this model in Oregon. Another area we're looking at is Nevada. Through our partnership with Barclays, they already see the vision for the potential of growth with the Minority Small Business Program in Delaware. And they have an opportunity to maybe think about doing it in Nevada. So we're already trying to replicate within the state of Delaware, but also looking at other states. And of course, United Way Worldwide has been a wonderful partner in this already. They give opportunities to share this program at a national level so they can, like this group, learn from the model, learn what works, learn what didn't work, learn how we're building in CQI and data to make sure that we're hitting our milestones and we're presenting areas that we need to improve upon and addressing those immediately. And I will say the one thing that's really important about this model is that we constantly look for ways to make the model and the practice more efficient. You can look at doing many things with great partners and coaches, but we have to look for the efficiencies too in the process and workflows. That helps us be smarter about the work that we're doing, and that we can spend our dedicated time with our coaching professionals. They can stay engaged in having those deep conversations versus worrying about process and things like that. So I appreciate our IT people and other folks that are looking to help us improve that those workflows as well.
Great. So just so I can clarify, are you envisioning that this coaching model piece to Stand By Me will be replicated in Pennsylvania, Oregon, Nevada, or is it other programs?
Stand By Me is being replicated in other states.
So the financial coaching piece.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Jude, I wanted to pick up on a theme that Donna referenced, right, which is COVID-19. And so we've heard about how this is coloring sort of the programmatic side and the programmatic vision. How is this affecting your interactions with clients and customers?
Well, from a purely technical standpoint, we've had to adapt to the virtual model. And I think initially we were quick to pivot, quick to jump on the virtual Zoom platforms and all of these options. But I think there was some nervousness amongst the coaches of how are we going to go from being face-to-face, sitting there while someone is really going through, an emotional, personal time, to something that feels a little more distanced. But what we found was we didn't need to worry that much, because our coaches are definitely our number one asset, and they are amazing at making people feel comfortable. So whether it was a Zoom call, whether it was a phone call, whether they're working by text, that relationship took some time to develop, and it's a little different. So we were able to kind of put it all out there. When we first met with the customers, we're like, look, this is new for everybody. We know your kids are going to be running around in the background. My dogs are going to bark. You're going to get disconnected. It's all going to be fine. Like, we're all having these challenges, and we're all going to get through them together. So I think that helped kind of put people at ease. And then it just became a matter of figuring out what technology worked for them. And in some cases, we have programs like our seniors where the virtual wasn't going to work as well. So maybe it was the phone, maybe it was going to a place where you could socially distance. It's all been about adapting to what works for the individual. And honestly, people have really, really gravitated to this during this time. We've heard a lot from people about how just checking in with their coach was a great human interaction, and how it made them feel like they were still working towards something, because a lot of our folks were temporarily furloughed or laid off or had that major cut in income, and they were afraid that they were going to have to put all of their goals on the back burner and not be able to move forward. And the coach was there to say, it's fine, let's just talk about what's going on, and when we're ready, we'll start to work on that, or we'll see where we are with that. So as terrible as COVID has been and continues to be, it also has just shown the adaptability of coaching and the skills of the coaches to be able to figure out, how do we do this? How do we make it work? How do we share resources? How do we suddenly become IT experts that can tell everyone, push this button on the bottom of your phone, and that's going to bring up this screen for Zoom? We're really, really good at telling people how to share their screens now. So, we've all learned a lot, and I think we've helped our customers learn a lot in the process.
Terrific. So I'm aware we still have one more question that I wanted to ask all of you, but I think I'll save that to the end because we have a whole bunch of questions coming in the chat right now. So I'll open this up to the panel. So there's some questions coming in about replicating this and how do you create these partnerships? So one of the questions is, can states reach out to Stand By Me or United Way in Delaware directly if there's interest in replicating the model? So.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. They can reach out to me. I could put my information in the chat box and they can just reach out to me directly.
Great. Thank you, Donna. Another one is, again, can I reach out to bring this to California? Terrific. Who are you working with in Pennsylvania? We love these kinds of questions, right? So I guess Donna, please connect with Donna and she can help talk to you about that. Another question coming in, how might I identify other reputable financial coaching programs? Aside from Googling, I was looking to find out if you know, are you willing to share other organizations that you recommend or perceive as worthwhile? Are there other financial coaching organizations that follow the same model? Thoughts on this question? Yeah, Irene.
From a national perspective, the City Foundation really invested in building the capacity of NeighborWorks to really develop financial coaching curriculum and training model. And that I know was important for Stand By Me in terms of starting out. So I think I'd like to just encourage folks, there is a national resource, even though it's been focused on housing and community development. I would say their city invested quite a bit over many years to sort of build their capacity to be a national resource. So I would just encourage folks to connect with them, because I think they have gone through an intentional process to really figure that out. And I think the other is, you know, a number of the financial empowerment movement is not only, you know, it's happening through at the municipal level with Bank On, with financial empowerment centers, you know, cities for financial empowerment. So in some ways, there might be ways for you to sort of figure out, is your state or municipality, and the folks at Cities for Financial Empowerment can really give you that list. And in particular in the South and Southwest, they might be able to also be another connector where something else is going on. But here's, you know, here's where you all might be interested in just making those connections. Because I think one of the things that I worry about is this is a really exemplar program and model, but it's also, it has to be adapted to the local context where folks are working in. And so I think, you know, what are the elements that really make sense to apply? And then who are the local partners that you want to connect with? You know, one of the strengths, this was started under a previous governor, and the current governor green-lighted it because, you know, you've got a state agency, new director. So it continued, it survived that. And it is because you heard all of these folks, like what Jude said, we need this program to really achieve our goals, which is progress and away from dependency to independence, which is what people want. And then, as Donna said, thank goodness this was in place, because during COVID, this infrastructure of coaches and partnerships has really been critical connectors for, you know, folks who are just, they're just trying to figure it out, frankly.
Thank you. Yeah, you touched upon some of the really unique elements about, you know, this being situated in Delaware, right? Was that there was strong championship at the upper level. There was this great sort of partnership between the United Way, between the state. Another thing that struck me, and you can all chime in on this, is that because the state is relatively small geographically, you're able to bring the coaches together in person for a once-a-month training. And I thought that was really unique and special, right? To have that face-to-face pure learning aspect to it. It's hard to believe that you could do that in a place, you can't do that in a place like California, right? So that was sort of a unique and special aspect of just being in Delaware. So a few more questions coming through, and I think these are for Jude, who has a lot of program data, right, you know, at his fingertips. So one of the questions is, well, this you can answer this one too, but how about what is the typical caseload per coach? That's an easier one.
So our Our program, our standard benchmarks are about 19 unique individuals per month and about 61 appointments per month. And there's lots of thought that has gone into that, but for the sake of time, that's our basic benchmarks. And Donna would be happy to converse with you more about it if you want to bring it to your location.
Absolutely.
Great. Another question is, are the coaches certified? And if so, what certification program is used?
So we have our coaches certified through a program that we have adapted. It was originally adapted through the Central New Mexico University that created the financial coaching curriculum. And we've worked with the University of Delaware, the Lerner College of Business to make that more modified to our needs. So we do a certification that the coaches go through that class, and then they spend quite a bit of time shadowing existing coaches on the job to really get a feel for what coaching is like, because you really need to take that theory and put it into practice before you go out there and start coaching live. So we have a very thorough training methodology that we take people through, where they kind of are like a shadow or an intern for a month or so before they're let loose on their own.
What are the other? Oh yeah, go ahead, Donna. Yeah.
If I could just add to that, I love Jude. That the intensive is what I call it. It's a coaching intensive. The training that he's describing is an intensive, and then the part of it that is shadowing, which is absolutely critical to really understanding that practice, is vital to seeing the coaching in action, so they can get a good sense of how that exchange is supposed to work with the customer, and creating that safe space. So those two things together really make a Stand By Me coach a Stand By Me coach.
Terrific. One of the things that I found really interesting, and I don't know if this has changed, but coaches were typically hired for their potential and not necessarily because they had the financial knowledge already. And I think that speaks to some of the trust and relationship building piece, right? Hired for the ability to make that connection and can learn the financial pieces along the way. I think we only have time maybe for one last question. So I think we're going to have to skip our final panel question, but this is about funding. And I think, I think people are curious, how is the program funded, right? So I'll leave this to whomever wants to chime in on this piece.
I certainly will step in on that one. It definitely is a braided funding strategy. We Stand By Me, through the leadership of Michelle Taylor with United Way, through the partnership with the state, through all the partners that we collaborate with to fund this program. It is a braided funded strategy that looks at grants. It looks at corporate gifts and donations that go directly to a Stand By Me. And so it really is that true sense of a collaborative to stand this program up. And we would not be where we are today without the constant leadership that we have in place. And I'm not just saying just at the top, but also throughout the whole program, that makes sure that we are staying connected to the various aspects of everything that's happening with the program. Could everything be better? It's always, we're constantly trying to figure out how to learn and get better at what we do, and to listen more to our base and also our customers. So funding is a braided strategy, and it is certainly the bread and butter of the program and how we stay successful today.
Great. We're actually at time, but I want to offer you the opportunity, each of you the opportunity for one final quick closing thought.
I was going to yield to Irene first.
I think I would add two things. One is, this whole career field that's happening now called user experience design, really, and it's real corporations, it's part of their marketing, digital marketing. But at the crux of it is what you've heard throughout this conversation, which is, how do you make it easy, efficient, effective, and responsive to customer need? So, Stand By Me is, I think, masterful at that. But I think the other thing is, I don't think folks really understand that for all these focus groups that I sat in, there were parents with young children who said the work with the coaches helped them understand what they could do. No one told them the 3 or 4 things they could do to improve their credit score. It's not rocket science, but no one really kind of unpacked it. It was sort of like that scene in The Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain was like, oh, okay, pay this bill first. I mean, it's something that is really important, but no one had taught them, here's what you can do. And that was so empowering where people could really feel, I can take control of my financial destiny. I don't have to feel oppressed by that credit score and limited by that. So I would just, say kudos. And I'm so glad folks are interested in the model because it is worth. And Diana said Delaware is a small state. If you think about some of the municipalities in the state of California, they're about the same size. So it may not, you don't have to do statewide if you could do it in a similar sized municipality in a large state.
Absolutely agree. Jude, parting thought?
I would just say, first, thank you for the opportunity to work with you all and be able to share this information with people. And I'm thrilled as well that people are interested in it. I think that from everything we've talked about today, the biggest takeaway for me is that listening to people can really make a difference for them. So I'm a data person. I love numbers. I thought when we started this program that it was all going to be about budgets and credit scores, and that is important, but it really is listening to people and understanding what they want that makes that transformation. So if you're thinking of doing this in your area, instead of taking exactly what Stand By Me has done or exactly what another program has done, talk to the people and listen to what they need. And that will help you to be responsive and coach them according to the needs of your area.
Terrific. And Donna, you get to close us out.
I just, again, thank you for the opportunity to share thoughts about this wonderful program called Stand By Me. My final thought in regards to this program is that it is about equity, access, and the right information. Anybody can do anything they need to do if they are given the opportunity to understand first and given the information so they can make an informed decision. And I think too often we don't give people the right information in a way that they can really understand it and embrace it without judgment. And so once we do that, people feel confident and empowered. That truly is the gas in this car. We're just the car parts. The gas is the Delaware resident really feeling empowered and taking ownership for their financial health. And that is the success of Stand By Me.
Terrific. What a nice way to end the day. Such a pleasure having all of you on this event. I've learned so much through the process of this, and I appreciate that we're able to share that wisdom with folks on the line. So thanks to everyone for joining today. You can follow up with us for more information. Follow up with Donna for more information about Recability, where you are. And have a terrific evening, everyone. Thank you.